take care of the house. And no, they're just such respectful and honorable and good family, very smart. I keep asking them, I'm the sponsor, I say, okay, do you need help with that? No, we got it already. No. And Vessel went out and worked very hard to get a job right away. No sitting around. He's a very hard worker. And the two beautiful children, Arson and Victoria, have just, as I understand it, just fit right in with school and enjoy school and are just happy kids like you would expect. They like to play and go with their friends. Arson is very good with English. If you can have a conversation with them, it's a lot of fun. You should try it. Very good. They're all a little nervous about it, but they do way better than they think they do. So I'm going to turn things over to them at the end. Then, if I can have a couple minutes again at the end, and we'll have a prayer, and then we can eat. Okay? All right. So we'll turn things over to you.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Irina, and I'm from Ukraine. First, I want to say a big thank you for your support and for helping my family come to the United States. We are deeply grateful for your care, for your generosity, and your warm welcome. Now, let's start with a short video that explains the main history of Ukraine and the paths of independence. It will give you a good background.
It was inhabited from the Upper Paleolithic time by ancient Neanderthals and Cro-Magnons, who were skilled hunters of mammoths and collectors. Subsequently, these lands were settled by representatives of one of the most advanced European agricultural civilizations of the time, the Trapelia culture. The development of new technologies was accompanied by the development of new methods of farming and the domestication of animals. Probably, it was in the territory of Ukraine where representatives of the Sredny culture domesticated a horse for the first time. Subsequently, the steppes of Ukraine were inhabited by legendary Cimmerians, who were then displaced by their relatives, Scythians. At this time, the Greek colonization of the southern coast of Ukraine was made. Greeks and Scythians were actively trading. It was the Grecians who gave the name to the Ukrainian lands, Scythia, which was often used until the 17th century. After this, the Scythians were replaced by the Sarmatians, whose women often participated in wars, which gave rise to legends about the Amazons. In the era of the Great Resettlement of peoples, for the first time on the historical arena appeared Slavs, the ancestral home of which, according to one theory, was the territory between Dnieper and the Dniester. Over the course of several centuries, Slavic state centers were gradually established on these lands. One of the largest was Kiev. In the 9th century, Kiev was occupied by Vikings under the leadership of Oleg the Wise, which founded the state of Rus, led by the princely dynasty Rurikid, the Scandinavian descendants of which ruled the area over the next few centuries. The Vikings quickly adopted local culture and changed their names to Slavic ones. The most famous of these princes was Vladimir I the Great, who expanded the borders of the state and introduced Christianity in these territories, and his son Yaroslav the Wise, who built the Sofia Cathedral and founded the library. The latter gained fame as the father-in-law of Europe through active marriage diplomacy with many European countries. His daughters and sisters were married to the rulers of Byzantium, Sweden, Norway, Poland, Hungary, and France. It was in the times of Vladimir and Yaroslav that Rus reached the greatest power. The lands of Kievan Rus stretched from the Black Sea to the Baltic. In 1187, the name Ukraine was mentioned for the first time in the annals. That was the name of the territory of lands near and south of Kiev. Over time, feudal disputes made the Rus principalities weaker. As a result of what the Mongol troops defeated the divided Rus detachments, captured and desecrated Kiev, 50,000 of which population decreased 10 times after the Batu Khan's invasion. At that time, the most influential prince of Kievan Rus was Daniel of Galicia, or Danilo Romanovich. From the Pope, he received the title of king, thanks to which the kingdom of Rus has arisen. However, his attempts to liberate southern Rus from the influence of the Mongols were unsuccessful. In the next century, Danilo's line was broken up, and his state was divided between Poland and the Duchy of Lithuania. Lithuanian nobility quickly borrowed the culture and language of Rus, and the Polish aristocracy spread its system and religion to the conquered lands. In the late 14th century, the Mongol state of the Golden Horde fell into decline and lost influence in the region. In the 15th century, on the territory of the Horde lands in the northern Black Sea region, the independent state of the Crimean Khanate emerged, and soon became a vassal of the Ottoman Empire. In the 16th century, Poland and Lithuania merged into the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and the Ukrainian lands under the Treaty of Union were transferred to Poland. The increase in feudal oppression, exploitation, and indentured servitude led to the flight of peasants to the outskirts of the state. At this time, the formation and development of the Ukrainian Cossacks, a military estate, the basis of which were fugitive peasants and local petty knighthood. Cossacks had democratic traditions of governance and built the fortress Zaporizhian Zich in the lower Dnieper. Hence, their name evolved, Army of Zaporizhian Host the Lower. Cossack detachments actively participated in wars with the Ottoman Empire, the Crimean Khanate, and the Moscow Empire. The intensification of the exploitation of the unprivileged social estates, religious oppression, and the attack on the rights of the Cossacks led to a series of Cossack peasant uprisings against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. In 1648, the National Liberation War began. It was led by Bogdan Khmelnytsky, who was the leader of the Cossack peasant army that defeated the army of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, with the help of Crimean Tatars in several battles. These victories led to the creation of the Ukrainian state, the Cossack Hetmanate. However, the Cossacks did not have enough forces to stand up to the Commonwealth and its allies. Therefore, Khmelnytsky concluded the Pereyaslav Agreement about a vassal military union under conditions of broad autonomy with the Moscow Tsar. However, the Tsar used this agreement to begin the takeover of the Cossack Hetmanate, and in 1667 agreed with the Commonwealth on the division of Ukrainian lands. Ukraine was divided and exhausted. This time in Ukrainian history was called Ruins. In 1708, Hetman Ivan Mazepa tried to restore the unity and independence of the Ukrainian state. He enlisted the support of the Swedish King Charles XII and marched against the Moscow Tsar Peter I, but the Allied forces were defeated. After the defeat of Mazepa, the Cossack Hetmanate gradually lost its autonomy. In 1765, the power of the Hetman was abolished. 10 years later, Russian troops destroyed the Zaporizhian Zich. Then the Russian authorities turned the local peasants and a significant part of the Cossacks into serfs, who became de facto slaves. Subsequently, the Russian Empire annexed the Crimean Khanate, violating previously concluded agreements with the Tatars. After the partitions of the Commonwealth, most of the Ukrainian lands became part of the Russian Empire, while the rest became part of the Austrian Empire. The Russian imperial regime saw the development of the Ukrainian national movement as a threat, so it issued the Valuev Circular and the M-Zukaze, which restricted and prohibited the distribution and publication of texts in the Ukrainian language, and denied its existence. Within the Austrian Empire, the Ukrainians had more political and national rights. Here, some Ukrainian intellectuals fled from Russian oppression. Here in 1890, the first Ukrainian political party, the Ukrainian Radical Party, URP, was created, headed by the writer and scientist Ivan Franko. In the second half of the 19th century, active industrialization was evolving on Ukrainian lands. The most active development was going on in industrial centers of southeastern Ukraine. In addition, urbanization was increasing, so the population of Kyiv during the 19th century increased 10 times, and the population of Odessa increased by 20. With the development of capitalism, social and property inequality grew, which contributed to the spread of socialist ideas on the territory of Ukraine. The First World War brought millions of deaths, decay, and disintegration of empires and nation-states. Ukrainians proclaimed the Ukrainian People's Republic too in 1917, after the October Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. The Western Ukrainian People's Republic was created in November of the following year on the Ukrainian lands, which were part of Austria-Hungary. On January 22, 1919, this state joined the rest of Ukraine. However, the offensive of Soviet Russia, the Russian White Guards, and the Polish Army led to the defeat of the Ukrainian state. In addition to the offensive of the superior enemy forces, what failed the Ukrainians was the lack of national unity and the not always thoughtful leadership of the state from the side of the Ukrainian authorities. Most of the Ukrainian lands were ruled by a totalitarian regime in the communist USSR. A puppet republic of the Ukrainian SSR was formally established. During the interwar years, the Ukrainians of the Soviet Union experienced famine, forced collectivization, forced industrialization, and dispossession, rozkorokolenia. In the 1930s, Ukrainians experienced a Holodomor that caused about 4 million deaths, and Stalinist terror, which resulted in the destruction of a large part of the Ukrainian intelligentsia, which was recorded in history as the executed Renaissance. In 1939, World War II came to Ukrainian lands, started by Nazi Germany together with the USSR. The war allowed the Soviet Union to seize the territories of western Ukraine and the southern Odessa region, where the Soviet system was immediately introduced, and numerous repressions were carried out. 2 years later, however, German forces quickly defeated their former allies and occupied the entire territory of Ukraine. At the same time, there was a conflict between the German authorities and the Ukrainian nationalists, who created their Ukrainian Insurgent Army, UPA. The army fought against both German and Soviet invaders. The UPA's struggle with the Soviet Union continued until the 1950s, and the last rebels left the underground only after Ukraine gained independence. It was only at the cost of extraordinary losses, mobilization of its economic potential, and assistance to the US and new allies in the anti-Hitler coalition that the Soviet Union was able to recover the lost territories. Ukraine lost about 8 million people in that war. 3 million died in the fighting, and more than 1 million Ukrainian Jews died because of the Holocaust. In May 1944, more than 230,000 Crimean Tatars were deported by the Soviet regime. Around 206,000 Ukrainians were later deported and suspected of links with the UPA. In addition, after the war, Zakarpattia region was added to the USSR. After the end of the war, the people of Ukraine had to endure another artificially provoked famine and post-war reconstruction difficulties. Along with this, the processes of Russification of Ukrainian schools and mass media increased. In 1954, to overcome the economic crisis in Crimea, the peninsula was united with mainland Soviet Ukraine. Despite certain achievements in the field of space and military technology, the economy of the USSR remained inefficient. The standard of living of citizens was low. The average Soviet salary was not enough to buy a TV, not to mention a car. In addition, as a result of chronic shortages, even banal tangerines or jeans were inaccessible to most Ukrainian SSR residents. As a result of the actions of the Soviet power, environmental problems were added to the economic and political issues of the Ukrainian SSR. In 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear reactor exploded. This disaster has become one of the biggest man-made technogenic disasters, and its consequences have been felt by dozens of European countries. The stagnation and collapse of the inefficient Soviet economy, heavy losses during the war in Afghanistan, and the rise of the national movement increased the vulnerability of the Soviet regime. The launched restructuring process contributed to the legalization of the activities of the Ukrainian patriotic forces that spoke for the freedom of their state. On August 24, 1991, the Parliament of Ukraine proclaimed independence, and in December, 90% of citizens supported this decision. The idea of reincarnation of the USSR was finally destroyed. Since then, Ukraine has taken the way of rather difficult transformations toward building a democratic society. Oligarchic groups, low levels of economic prosperity, corruption, and presidents who chose an authoritarian style of government interfered with this process significantly. 2 revolutions erupted against corruption, authoritarianism, and attempts to subjugate Ukraine to Russia, leading to the fall of Yanukovych's regime and the election of a pro-European development vector. Not accepting the loss of Ukraine as its dependent territory, Russia launched a hybrid invasion in 2014 and occupied Crimea and parts of the Luhansk and Donetsk regions. In 2022, the Russian army launched a full-scale offensive to conquer all of Ukraine, but the Ukrainians courageously continued to repel the Russian attack, and also they inflicted many Ukraine
today. Ukraine is the largest country actually in Europe, stretching from the Carpathian Mountains in the west to the Black Sea in the south. Before the war, the population was about 40 million. Now it is closer to 32 million people due to migration and war. The capital is Kiev. Ukraine is often called the bread basket of Europe because of its black soil, Chernozem. This is why Ukraine is one of the world's top grain producers and exporters. Ukraine is rich in landscapes. The Carpathian Mountains, wide rivers like the Dnipro, forest, and the Black Sea coast. Ukrainians are known as hardworking, family-oriented, and proud of their traditions. Ukraine is blessed with incredible nature and resources. The Carpathian Mountains are full of forests, rivers, and ski resorts. In the south, Ukraine has access to the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, which connect us to world trade. Fertile black soil makes Ukraine one of the world's top grain producers. The country is also rich in iron ore, coal, natural gas, salt, and amber. National parks and nature reserves make it a land of beauty and diversity. Ukraine is also rich in traditions. The embroidered shirt, vyshyvanka, is a symbol of identity and pride. Easter писанки, decorate eggs are known worldwide. Food is part of culture too. Borscht and vareniki always bring family together. Now I would like to show you a short video about Kolomyia. It's my town where I born. As each place, I will comment and tell you about the city history, architecture, and daily life, so you can experience it more vividly. Vasil.
My hometown, Kolomyia, is western Ukraine, close to the Carpathian region of natural, beautiful, and living tradition. Is about 17,000 people and more 88,000 years of history. Kolomyia has always been tradition town because its location between the Carpathian and large cities like Lviv and Chernihiv. It's because center of marks and trails where march come from all Europe. The town is famous the Pysynka Museum, shaped like a giant eagle, with more than 12,000 decorated pigs from around the world. It's the only museum of its kind of the world. Kolomyia is also called the heart of the Gutsal region, where you can see colorful folks, customer heart, tradition music with the trombeta, the world longest wonderful instrument, and experience 1,000 Carpathian hospitals. So Kolomyia is not just a small town, it's a culture center where history, tradition, and daily life meet. Kolomyia is still beautiful and full of history, but life in Ukraine today is not easy. Price for food, electrical, and everyday goods have risen a lot. Inflation in very high, with salary remain low. Many families studies to cover basic needs. Another painful reality is the war. Maybe you know, drone attacks have become much more frequent, causing fear and damage because of tourists' poor condition and instability energy. People getting sick more and the children and them suffering the most. That is great. So my children. That's why it's very great to send my children in the United States to save health. My journey in the United States give me and my family a chance for safety and stability. Is building a new life with staying in connect with my family. My hometown, Columbia, I feel blessed here, but my heart always with joy remain with my Ukrainian. That you very much for listening. Thanks you very much for listening. Your interest and support means so much to me and my family and the people of Ukraine. Your pride and kingdoms give strength, remain, and the Ukrainian is not alone. If you would like learn more with war, we recommended to documental film 20 Days in Mariupol. It shows reality Ukrainians living in every day. I'm sorry, my English is not good, but that's all.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
Should we wait? Is there more? Should we? What? Oh, yeah. There's a lot yet.
I show you the Писанка Museum. It's the very big Писанка. It's museum.
Isn't that neat how they have the open streets for walking with plantings and
Yeah,
things?
yeah.
It's very friendly to.
It's the European city has been occupied is 130 years in Austria, also Austrian Empire.
It was part of Austria.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, did anybody have any idea Eastern European history before they watched that movie? Wow.
Seems like a lot of wars.
Yes.
Yeah, all the time.
We have not good neighbors.
I don't know how that is.
In Colmena, all people.
Don't drive.
Yeah.
Don't try that.
Well,
Everybody walks.
Yeah. Yeah, they drive, but not so many like in USA.
Yeah.
Very close.
And both of your parents are in Kolmaya now?
Now it's
So-
The market was beautiful. How often do you guys go to the market?
Market, yes.
We go there.
Would you shop at the market a lot?
Like the Asian markets.
Yeah, it's finished.
How current is this? Does it still, like with all the war going on, like, I mean, how, I mean, does it still look like this right now, or?
Now is because it's very small town and not so many attack like Kiev, Odessa, Kharkiv, Dnipro.
Okay.
But now is attack is many like 1 year ago. No, it's video show 4 years ago.
Okay.
Before the war.
Yeah, before the war. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's many attic for electrical station and military and school.
Is Russia bombing small towns like that?
Twice.
No, they don't bomb small
Twice
towns.
for
Big towns in our city, the most of the funding goes to the military airport,
Mhm.
military base.
Yeah.
This is the kindergarten, first kindergarten, and if there is a dance school, and if the operator looks to the right, it will be my school, and this is
Oh.
the Christian church.
That was your school?
No, school was the right to the right.
Oh, the one on the right, okay. Beautiful.
So you can't drive cars anywhere in that?
I don't see any cars there.
Yeah, there's one, there's a van, that's the first one.
Not many.
At least